9 experienced mountaineers cut open their own tent in the middle of the night, from the inside. Then, in 30 degrees below zero, half dressed and without shoes, they ran out into the darkness. 5 kilometers away, all 9 of them were dead. One of them was missing her tongue. Another's skull was crushed, yet there wasn't a single scratch on his skin. And 60 years later, the official report still dared to say only this, that their deaths were caused by a compelling natural force. This is the Dyatlov Pass incident, one of the most debated mysteries in the world. For more than half a century, it has spawned books, films, documentaries, and thousands of hours of online argument. And the closer you lean in, the less the picture holds together. Because the moment you think you found the explanation, there's always one fact left over that doesn't fit. Tonight, we're going to walk through every one of them. It's January 23rd, 1959. 10 young people set out for the northern part of the Ural Mountains, deep inside the Soviet Union. Most of them are students or recent engineering graduates from the Ural Polytechnic Institute. They are not amateurs. They are seasoned hikers heading out to earn the highest third-degree Ski Master certification in the Soviet touring system. To get it, they have to cover more than 300 kilometers on skis through the winter wilderness, completely self-sufficient for days. The group's leader is a calm, methodical, 23-year-old named Igor Dyatlov. He plans the route, he's responsible for the equipment, he's the one the others trust. The whole thing will be named after him, the Dyatlov Pass incident. One of them, Yuri Yudin, falls ill along the way, tormented by joint pain, and on the second day, he's forced to turn back. He says goodbye to his friends, even helps them redistribute the gear, and then heads home. He has no idea that this illness is the very thing saving his life. He will be the only one to see the others alive again. In their photographs and their diaries, 9 people remain, 7 men and 2 women. Their destination is a mountain that carries an ominous, almost warning name in the local Mansi language, Kolachakal. Translated, it means dead mountain. According to legend, the place is cursed, but they don't believe in that. They are engineers. We know what they did in their final days because they kept a diary and took a great many photographs. This is what makes the story so haunting. You don't have to piece it together from dark gaps, you see it through the victim's own eyes. The pictures show a cheerful, close-knit team. They throw snowballs, they laugh, they scribble a joke newsletter full of gags inside the tent. In one of the last photos, someone is shoveling fresh snow around the tent. There is nothing, absolutely nothing, that hints at tension or fear. It's the 1st of February. Poor visibility, strong wind, heavy snow. The team loses their bearings and climbs too high up the bare, wind-battered side of Dead Mountain. And here they make the decision researchers still argue about to this day. Instead of descending a few hundred meters into a wooded, more sheltered valley where they could build a fire, Dyatlov decides to pitch the tent for the night right there, on the open slope carved into the snow. Maybe they didn't want to lose the altitude they'd fought so hard for. Maybe they trusted themselves. Either way, this would be Igor Dyatlov's last decision. Then the diaries stop. The photographs run out, and the silence begins. Dyatlov had promised to send a telegram as soon as they reached the next settlement. The agreed deadline comes and goes, then another day. The families grow uneasy and begin to apply pressure. Finally, on February 20th, an official rescue expedition sets out to search for them, students, experienced guides, then the military and helicopters. On February 26th, the searchers find the tent. And in that instant, everything you might have assumed about a simple hiking accident falls to pieces. The tent is half buried, collapsed under the weight of the snow, but they did not leave it through the entrance. The examination is completely clear, and experts would later confirm it. The side of the tent was cut open from the inside, with a knife in several places. Someone who was inside wanted out so urgently that they didn't bother with the door. They simply slashed the canvas and crawled into the cold. And now comes the part that sends a chill down your spine. Inside, everything is in its place. The boots neatly lined up, the warm coats, the heavy winter clothing, the food half eaten. 9 people left behind everything that could have meant life in the freezing cold and ran out barefoot or in their socks into a night of -30. The snow on the slope preserves their tracks, the prints of 9 figures making their way downward. The footprints are staggering, some in a single sock, some completely barefoot. But that isn't the strangest thing. The strangest thing is that the tracks don't tell the story of a blind, headlong panic. There's no scattered running in all directions. The 9 people descend the slope relatively evenly, close to one another at a measured pace toward a forest about 1.5 kilometers away, as if they were fleeing from something, but in an orderly way. Under a lone pine tree, the searchers find the first 2 bodies, stripped down to their underwear, frozen in the cold. The branches of the tree are broken off all the way up to 3 meters. Someone had climbed it with their bare hands in the freezing cold, perhaps to see something down on the slope, perhaps searching for the tent with their eyes. Beneath them, the pitiful remains of a long-dead, tiny campfire. In the area between the tree and the tent, they find the next 3, among them Igor Dyatlov himself. Their body positions reveal everything. They are not turned downward, toward shelter, but back, toward the tent. They lie at almost regular intervals from one another, one at 300, another at 480, the third at 630 meters from the tree. It looks as though they tried to crawl back to the tent, to their gear, to their lives. None of them made it. The frost caught them first. At this point, the searchers believe they understand the story. A panic, one fatal decision, 6 people killed by the cold. Tragic, but not incomprehensible. Then the snow melts, and in May the last 4 bodies emerge, and with them the real mystery. They lie in a ravine nearly 4 meters deep beneath the snow, not far from the tree, and their condition is radically different from the others. For them, the cold is not the main cause of death. One of the men has a severely crushed skull. 2 others have collapsed chests, ribs broken in several places, with a force the corner of the time compared to a car crash or a fall from a great height. Not a scuffle, not a punch. An enormous, blunt, crushing force. And now, the most unsettling part. On the skin of these people, above the fractures, there is no serious external injury. No large open wound, no bruise that would explain the bones shattered inside them. As if the force had bypassed the skin and crushed their skeletons directly. And there is the detail that fed the wildest theories for decades. One of the women, Lyudmila, is missing her tongue and her eyes, and a piece of soft tissue from her face. Now, you understand why this story wouldn't let people rest for 60 years, because every single fact on its own practically screams for an explanation, but the moment you explain one, another immediately contradicts it. Let's take the most common theories, one by one. An avalanche. For decades, this was the official suspicion, except the rescuers found no trace of a fresh avalanche at the site. The tent remained partly standing, and the angle of the slope seemed too gentle for a classic sweeping avalanche. So many people dismissed it. A secret military experiment. This was fed by the elevated radioactivity measured on the clothing, and by the fact that other hikers that night saw strange, glowing spheres hovering in the sky over the region. Many believe the team was caught in the crossfire of a secret weapons test, and the darkest theories, something or someone up there on the mountain. An attack, something the Soviet authorities deliberately covered up. The missing tongue and eyes. The most likely and most disappointing explanation is simple. In bodies lying in snow and water, the softest tissues are the first to be broken down by decomposition and scavengers. Precisely the tongue, the eyes, the soft parts of the face, not a monster, nature. And then, in 2021, 2 Swiss researchers took up the story, united not with mysticism, not with conspiracy, but with avalanche physics and computer models. Their solution is a rare, insidious phenomenon, the slab-avalanche, not the rolling, roaring kind you know from films. This is different. When the team carved the tent spot into the slope, they unwittingly undercut a hard slab of snow sitting above them. Hours later, driven by the wind and slow creep, it broke loose as a single, enormous slab weighing hundreds of kilograms and crashed down onto the sleeping people. This explains an astonishing amount. The internal fractures with no skin damage, exactly the kind of crushing injury a heavy slab of snow inflicts on a body lying on a folded blanket. The panic. You wake in the dark with shattered ribs. Your tent collapsed on top of you, your friend screaming. You don't think. You cut the tent open and escape. Then, too afraid to go back for fear of the next avalanche, you head toward the forest where the cold finally finishes you. The model is convincing. Many researchers and the official Russian investigation accepted it as the final explanation. But let me leave one thought with you. The Swiss model brilliantly explains the how, the fractures, the escape, the mechanics of death. What it cannot fully explain is the why and the small details. Why did such an experienced leader pitch the tent in the worst possible spot? Why didn't they return to the tree where their fire was burning? And what was that light in the sky that several people saw that night? Maybe that's the truth about every great mystery. What unsettles us isn't the thing we have no answer for. It's that when we finally get the answer, and it's almost always simple, physical, and a little boring, part of us refuses to accept it. Because somewhere it's easier to live with an unsolvable, dark secret than with the ordinary tragedy that 9 brilliant young people froze on a mountainside because of a single bad decision and a silent slab of snow. So now that you've seen both sides, which one do you choose? The clean scientific solution that lets you close the story, or the mystery that never quite lets you go? Tell me in the comments, and I'm honestly curious which fact got under your skin the most.